like you who is very young, and the platforms you are giving us like Clinify, and I guess everybody knows what is
By the way,
Clinify.
that's Blue Learn right now,
It
so
is now, it is
just
Blue
Yeah.
Learn.
make
Yeah, yeah,
correction
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah. वैसे I just
Why
want to
did
know
you
ऐसे
change
हाँ
the name?
exactly.
Well, even since for a very long time, people said that Clinify sounds like a health tech startup because clinic and it became Clinify. So we didn't want people to have this perception that it is in the healthcare field and it's more in the community slash education field. That's why we changed it to Blue Learn. And Blue Learn because it's super simple. We want to reach like a very wide set of audience. So we want people to type it out and remember and spell it correctly. That's why we kept it super simple.
Welcoming on The Talk. Entrepreneur, content creator, YouTuber, and founder of Blue Learn, Harish Uthai Kumar, aka Curious Harish.
Hi Harish, I welcome you to the talk.
Thanks, Tanya. Pleasure to be here.
So why don't you start by introducing yourself and your startup in a very just brief way, and let's know it best from the entrepreneur himself.
Sure. So I'm Harish. Right now, I'm in my final year of college at BITS Pilani Goa campus, studying electronics and communications engineering, but I absolutely hate it. That's not something that I want to do for the next 10 years of my life. On the side, I run a YouTube channel with around 100,000 subscribers, and we run this community slash education startup called Blue Learn. We have around 40,000 students from across 3,000 different schools and colleges. And the ultimate purpose of Blue Learn is to sort of provide exposure to college students, right, who don't get access to it. Like a lot of tier two, tier three college students don't have access to the same networks and opportunities that IITs or BITS might have. So we're trying to bridge that gap. And yeah, right now we are working out of Goa. We have raised 2 rounds of funding and just trying to find product market fit at the moment.
Okay.
That's great.
So how your journey started, like everything.
As a young kid, did you
Yeah, as
ever
a
think
young.
you'll enter this profession and
Mhm.
want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a dream come true because to be honest, back in 12th grade, I always wanted to have something of my own. Like, it's very hard for me to wake up every day and do work with the thing in mind that someone else is going to get the benefit of it, right? Like, I just could not have a boss. I mean, I know right now investors are my boss, but then again, it just gives me a lot of flexibility in a way. So even in 12th grade, I was like, hey, maybe after graduating, I'll work for like 3 years in a job and then probably might just start up. So that's always been the goal. But then, yeah, again, we started solving some good problems, and we thought might as well start up early. There's no cap that you should have experience before you actually go out and start up. If do you want me to like tell the entire journey from the beginning?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
we
like
don't
really
mind.
cool.
Sure, that's a long story. So that's 12th grade. And then I pretty much messed up my JE. So I had to go through BITSAT and then give all of these entrance exams. And then somehow landed up at BITS, which was one of the best things that have happened to my life. The good part about BITS was that I was surrounded by some of the smartest people. So someone's building an amazing product in their hostel dorm room. Someone else is a great musician. And then you have people who are great at football, so everyone was good at something, and that sort of made me feel kind of inferior, and I was like, hey, I got to do something in life. And that's when I started freelancing initially, freelancing in graphic design, and then eventually moving on to building websites, and then eventually forming a team and making like a small digital marketing agency within our college hostel rooms. And then we started building chatbots, and that's when we first started up. Like that would be our official startup in those days. You guys know what a chatbot is, right? Whenever you go to a
Yeah,
website, just
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
you can chat with them.
Yeah.
So we were building those for like healthcare companies, but then it did not really work out. We sort of died, as in like our customer base wasn't growing, our revenue wasn't growing. We didn't feel motivated enough to solve that problem, so we had to shut it down. And that's when we started Clinify, which is now called Blue Dawn. And Clinify has been growing pretty well. So and it's a problem that we personally face. So we were like, hey, why not just take it up and see if we could find a very good solution for it.
The journey started when you entered the college, right?
Yes.
Okay. So before that, you were a normal kid. Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm still normal right now.
no,
But yeah,
normal
back then,
as in a person who is an entrepreneur, he works differently, I guess.
Not really, to be honest. Like entrepreneurs are not any special breed of people, right? I work from 10:30 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
just like a software developer at Amazon. It's no different. I eat the same food. It's the same thing. It's just the way that we work is different. Like I handle more of the product function. We need to make sure that as founders, we need to make sure that different teams are performing well and the tasks are getting completed. And then it's all about selling the vision, which is, hey, 6 months down the line, we want to become India's largest student community and making sure that all of them are aligned towards that vision and we're working towards it. So the job is it's just like a job, dude, to be honest.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, it's a
But you
different job.
got rid of your boss.
Not really. I wouldn't say we got rid of a boss because like this entire concept of not having boss seems cool. But then in all honesty, since we are venture backed, we are backed by some of the, in 2 weeks, you'll get to know, we are backed by some of the best investors. So we need to make sure that even our, incentives are aligned with theirs. And it just goes hand in hand, right? Because these are people who have trusted us and put in a lot of money. So that's one way. But yeah, investors are super chill. We have good investors who don't interfere too much with the business. So they're kind of fine with whatever decisions we make. And at the same time, it's about teamwork. So it's not a one-man show. I have a co-founder, I have a founding team. So whenever we take a decision, it's not that, hey, kal se main Goa mein kaam karunga. That's not a single decision. I'll have to ask every single team member if they're fine with it, and then we sort of move out and sort of execute on it. So yeah, it's more of a teamwork thing. It's not about having a boss, but it's more about working with a good, solid founding team.
And how is the experience when you work with more people? Like, is it tough?
Yeah, it's been amazing, dude. Like, I've been back in 9th, 10th grade. I was like this solo person, as in I want to do everything single-handedly. I was this one-man show kind of thing. Didn't make too many friends back then. But then in college, once I started socializing and things like that, I understood how important it is to have good people in your life, right? And that just helps you a lot. It's a morale boost, it helps you stay motivated, and you can't be good at everything. I don't handle design. Vineet heads our design team. I don't handle a backend team. Keenan heads our backend team. I'm not great at operations. Shreyans heads our operation. So it's like, if you find someone who's good at something and is like 10x better than you, you just give that responsibility to him and ask him to take it forward and not feel egoistic about it, right? So it's all about giving ownership to the right people and then just giving them independence to work on it. Our company is like a lab. Like we have crazy experiments running all over the place and people have total control over it. So if someone's like, hey, I need 2 lakhs to run this experiment, we just allocate that money to them and we'll be like, hey, just run this experiment, let us know how it goes, and then if it doesn't go well, it's fine. If it goes well, then maybe it could be our next product, things like that.
That is cool.
Okay,
And-
so let me break it. Clinify started as a thing in college because you kind of felt out of the place because you were not doing anything, and now it's become a major thing for you. So you plan to continue this, or you'll be leaving this? And had you ever thought it'll become this great?
To be honest, no. We thought it'll just be a Telegram group. We never thought that it'll one day turn into a startup where we are sort of changing the way college education works in India. So always expect the unexpected. In fact, at one point we were running Hulock when we started Clinify, and we were like, damn, this thing is growing. It's growing like crazy. People are loving what we are doing. So why not just go ahead with this and keep Hulock?
Building a community is really tough, I guess, right?
Yeah. Building an engaged community is very tough.
How you manage to do that? Like, if you can explain.
Again, it's about finding the best people and empowering them. So when we first formed the community, there were 8 of these moderators, super enthusiastic moderators who were organizing events, right? And for example, every day at 5 p.m., we have something called the English Practice Club, wherein people come and practice debates, practice impromptu speech, and just find other people with whom they can practice English. That's one part. And then these guys were calling some crazy YouTubers, having sessions with them. There were sessions on design. They were calling folks from Google and Amazon who were sort of teaching basics of code. They were calling people who knew video editing and were sort of teaching other people. There were music nights. Even this Sunday, we're going to have Frizzle D'Souza and a bunch of other cool artists who will be pulling off a concert. So a lot of these really cool things were happening on the community. There are gaming tournaments happening. So it's like all the good parts of college on a digital ecosystem. That's what we're sort of building. And these guys took ownership. They were the ones who were organizing it. Like, we as founders rarely go on the Discord server and interfere what's already happening. And that pretty much worked out well. So giving them responsibilities and giving them total ownership is what worked out well.
There are other servers as well. Like if you have heard about Avalon, right?
Yeah.
So how you are different from them?
So the thing with Avalon is that right now Avalon has sort of shifted into Avalon
Yeah,
Seeds,
exactly.
into the creator ecosystem, so not really into education. But we as students sort of understand the vibe of students, and that's the type of events that we organize, right? So you can't expect like a 30-year-old to build products for students. So it's more of like, Avalon has a different philosophy. We have a different philosophy.
And
For us,
now
it's
they're
like
they're more
students.
like a service-based company as such. Like, they started a
Yeah,
core company. Yeah.
they've been fiddling with a lot of things. But yeah, kudos to them. They've been doing great with scenes. It's a great creator ecosystem. What we are doing is kind of different. We are sort of building a cool student community and not necessarily like a creator product.
That is-
Okay. So, keeping your startup aside, how has college life been?
How's college life been? It was great before the pandemic. It's kind of crazy because after the pandemic, the craziest things happened in my life. Like, YouTube channel blew up, and then we raised our first round, and we shut down Hulock. A lot of crazy things happened after the pandemic. After college shutdown. But then even before college, it was great because, as I said, met a lot of amazing people, made a lot of friends whom I'll cherish for the next 10, 20 years of my life. And yeah, I think college is more about people. I don't remember the names of my professors, neither do I remember the names of the subjects that I've taken. That's like completely out of the question. But then it's all about the people that you meet in college. And I think that's the only reason I paid fees.
Okay. You mentioned that it is the second round of funding you are like getting, right? How was that experience for you?
Oh my God, that was the wildest thing. So even before, we've been approached by a lot of VCs before, but then a lot of them rejected us, saying, "Hey, you're just in college, you're third year college students. What can you do? You have internships. What if you go and sit for placements after you invest, or you have. What if you have exams and things like that?" And that was a huge bummer. But then back in during Hulock's days, we used to pitch to different venture capital firms, and one of them was 100x. So we pitched to 100x in 2020. We pitched to them Hulock, which was a chatbot startup, and they rejected us. The very first pitch, they were like, "Hey, this is a very bad product. You won't be able to scale to millions of users. It will not become a big business." And they were kind of correct. That we shut it down after 3 months, in fact. And then one of the partners, he texted me in 2021 when we were running Blue Learn. I think he probably saw my LinkedIn post or something. He was like, "Hey, are you up for a chat? It's not for investment. I just want to know what you're doing." And we pitched Blue Learn. They liked the idea. And within 3 days, we had a term sheet. We signed the term sheet, raised our pre-series. And then within a month, we got approached by the same investors which have invested in Snapchat, ShareChat, Byju's. And they were like, "Hey, can we have a chat?" Within 3 days, even that got over. We had a term sheet in our hand. It was a good round. I think I should be allowed to name the investors.
Yeah.
So the firm that invested, the second round was led by Lightspeed. It's the same investors that invested in Byju, ShareChat, OutSchool, a bunch of these good companies. And then it was also led by, Titan Capital also participated in it, which is run by the founders of Snapdeal. Even that was a pretty cool call. Kunal Bell, who's the founder of Snapdeal, he got on a call. We spoke about the idea. He suggested some ways of improving it, and the next day we got a call saying he's also interested to invest. And yeah, that was a pretty cool journey. And then we also had this venture capital firm called 2AM Ventures in the US, which is run by a founder, a unicorn founder, an almost unicorn founder back in Los Angeles, and even these guys were super interested. So we all felt that it's a good thing because investors are interested and they sort of vibe with what we want to build. All of them wanted to build like this education product for the Gen Z. And yeah, that's when we raised a second round, and we were super stoked because we were still in third year of college, and being given the resources to build something to change the way education communities function was something surreal. So yeah, that's how it was.
All we've heard from you is how your startup has been and how you've raised and how it was surreal for you as third years raising so much money, investors contacting you that can we invest in all of that. But other than that, as they mentioned, you are just college students, you have your exams, you have other things going on. So how do you really manage that? And I would really love to know like Harish's college story, not as an investor, as a student, not as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
but as a student.
So I used to be a nerd in first year of college. Didn't really focus on freelancing, or at least in the first semester, did not really focus on freelancing or any of these things. I always wanted to build a startup, but then never really worked on it in first year. I just got good grades and I was happy with it. Second year of college was an eye opener, because for the first time I got like a C grade in one of the subjects, and I was like, screw it, this is not meant for me. And I wasn't really liking electronics at all. Like as Andreessen Horowitz says, right? Software will eat the world. I was just even I believed in that philosophy, and it's not that electronics is bad, but it's just not meant for me. Like I don't want to spend my life working in the electronics field. So I was like, this is not meant for me. I sort of gave up on academics. Second year of college wasn't that great. Got really bad grades in the first semester. I think my CGPA at that time was 6.75. Not CGPA, GPA was 6.75 for the very first time. And then second semester was also terrible. And in BITS, there's this term called light, which means just be carefree, just don't care. So for every subject, I just said light, and I just showed up for the exams, and that's it. I did not even go for the lectures. But that did give me, so BITS has a 0% attendance policy, which is amazing because you can bunk all classes. And that gave me this leeway to build things by not attending classes and focusing on things that really mattered, like sleep and things like that. So yeah, wasn't really, I mean, right now, what's my CGPA? It's around 7.5, which is decent, not like the smartest, but I just want the degree at this point, nothing else. That's how my academic life has been. In terms of personal life, it was great.
How
I
has
mean,
Goa been? You guys are based in Goa.
oh yeah, it's great, right? Because I have like an ocean view like right in front of my house and things like that. But in college, we were allowed to go out on weekends, and even on weekdays we could like go out in the evenings. So that was super fun. That's why you actually make friends. You make friends in the beaches. You just go out for like parties on weekends, and it's
Do
fun.
you go out for parties? Like being an entrepreneur working and
That's the misconception, right? I mean, a lot of founders that I know are living a really good life. I mean, they're super chill. It's like this work hard, party hard life, right? I mean, it depends on how you live, but this has been my philosophy. If you're working 10, 12 hours a day, then you can take an off on Sundays and then go out and party. There's nothing wrong in it. It's just a way of living a life. So yeah.
so pretty much a normal college student's life.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Plus
nothing different.
your startup making it the thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because we're in the early stages. I don't know how it's going to be later. But for now, it's just, it's like instead of studying, I'm building good things
And
that
how about
actually
the
matter to me.
popularity? You must be getting good amount of popularity in the college, right?
Popularity?
People might be like, Harish, kya Harish?
Yeah, but the real thing is there are very few people who will actually care about you. So in my case, there are few people whom I've selected and I'm like really close to them, and they are the ones with whom I spend most of my time with. It's not that I'm not going to spend time with a random stranger, but then yeah, you just figure out few people who really provide you like moral support,
Right.
who ask how your day was and things like that, and just stick to them. Like my co-founder Shreyans has been really pivotal. That's why I say it's always necessary to have a co-founder, because if you're working on things alone, then you might get super depressed at one point in time. You don't have anyone to share your feelings with, right? Especially in the business world. So if someone's understanding the vision, if someone is ready to share the load that you're facing, then that just feels better. And
And also share the motivation also.
exactly, yeah. So you can celebrate together and things like that.
Exactly.
How supportive have your parents been around you not studying, a nerd's GPA falling,
Yeah.
and you building a thing?
So most Indian parents would get convinced if you show numbers and if you show some sort of traction, right? like I cannot. Once I told my dad, hey, I might drop out of college, and he was so pissed. Like the entire night, he didn't speak to me. So you can't really change their perceptions. But then again, the thing is, even you should know where they're coming from. They want you to have a good education, and then my parents wanted me to do a master's and go to the US, but then I canceled that entire plan. So I'm not going to do that. So it's like, do not give up on studies. Definitely, it's important. Stay dedicated. Don't drop out of college for no reason unless you're like making $1 billion on the side. Stay in college. Make sure you're getting decent grades. Do not try being a topper. That's pointless. Not most toppers. I know where they are. But yeah, just try being decent so that you satisfy your parents, and then do these side projects, because parents just care about your marks. And if you show decent marks, they should be fine with it. In my case, I'm lucky to have a bit of liberal parents. They did allow me to sort of do these things like YouTube and startups on the side, and they did not really speak against it. Even when I said, "Hey, I want to, set up an office in Goa, and all of us want to move out," they were quite supportive. So that was good. I think it's probably because we showed results. We were like, "Hey, we are building this. We have 40,000 students. We are doing well. We can build an actual startup out of this." I think that's what convinced them. If you're just in the ideation phase and if you're like, "Mummy, mere paas ek idea, can I drop out of college?" That's not going to work.
Of course.
You
And
need to
how
show
about the
results.
exactly?
Yeah.
And how about the YouTube journey? You're a YouTuber, right? And you got a good amount of subscribers. How
Mhm.
was
He
the
mentioned
YouTube journey?
100,000.
Yeah. How was the YouTube journey till now, and how it started and everything
So-
about the YouTube side?
Yeah, my friends and I started this YouTube channel back in ninth grade. And at that time, it was just a way for us to capture funny moments that happen in the class. So if someone's getting slapped, we would film that and put it on YouTube. If someone's, if some teacher is scolding the class, we would just
Without
film that.
consent or with consent?
Yeah, we didn't care about consent at that time. But that sounded very wrong. But anyway, we just it was just a way of capturing funny moments in the class.
Yeah.
And then it did not really pan out well. I didn't want to become popular. It was just meant for our class to have laughs. In fact, one of the teachers called me up, and she was like, "Why am I on YouTube?" So that's where the consent question came in, and then I had to take down the video and things like that.
Okay.
And then after I went to college, I was like, "Hey, this place is beautiful. Why not just capture what's happening around?" And that's when I made a video saying my hostel room at BITS Goa, and just film my really messy hostel room with like undergarments and socks all over the place. And that kind of blew up, got like 50,000 views or something. And ever since, I just started documenting things that are happening in my life. Like recently, we moved to this apartment, so I made an apartment tour. And when I'm traveling from Bombay to Goa, I just make a traveling vlog. Or when I'm learning something new, I just talk about skills and things like that. So just a way for me as a college student to share my experiences to other juniors who might not commit the same mistake, or it might just help them out in some or the other way. That's been the only purpose.
So you are juggling a startup, your college, and YouTube.
It's not that much work. It's pretty chill.
And you got a good team, right? So
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what matters at the end of the day. When you have such a good team who sort of takes care of a lot of work, you can spend time. I mean, I have to spend time in the startup, but then it's like shared load. It's like, yeah, you get the point.
you have how many co-founders do you have?
It's me and my co-founder. Just
Okay,
two
just-
founders. The founding team is of 5 people. So the first engineers and tech team lead, design team lead, all of us included are 5. And we have around 8 moderators who handle Discord. So totally we're a 13-member team.
Oh, that is cool. And you share everything, and that's how it works, right?
Yes,
All
I
are
think
these
it's
people based in BITS Goa, right?
not really. We have people from across India. We have people from Goa, we have people from Gujarat, we have people from Bombay, we have people from Rajasthan. So it's
Okay.
spread across.
Okay, so anything you want to tell the other entrepreneurs or the people who just started or who are willing to start? Any sort of advice you want to give them that this is something
Yeah.
you should have?
Sure. A is that do not worry about money. Like right now, the venture capital ecosystem is pumped with money. So if you want to like raise money and things like that, you should not worry about it. That's one part. Second part is that work on something very, very interesting and compelling, and something that you can do for the next 10 years of your life and show results. As in, let's talk about maybe a B2C startup, right? Just see if just look around, see what's the major problem people are facing. Maybe the kirana store guy close to you is facing a problem with his delivery thing, and you want to build a mobility solution which helps him deliver his groceries to people's homes, things like that. Just look for problems, and whenever you find a problem, start thinking of some sort of technology solution that can help solve that problem 10x faster. And then once you have that sort of solution, think if you can make money out of it. And if you can make money out of it, and if you think that 10 years down the line it might become like a huge business, then build a small prototype. Let's take an example of the grocery guy. I can just ask all of my neighbors if they would like grocery delivered to their house, and then for 2-3 weeks I can just help. I myself can use my bicycle and deliver groceries, and then I can think about scaling that part up. How can I reach to more groceries and deliver to more houses and things like that? So yeah, and in terms of like raising money from investors, it's all about having some sort of initial traction. No one's going to give you money if you just have an idea. It's all about having some sort of initial traction, and do not take money if you don't need it. You can completely build a very good bootstrap business without taking any money. You can just have tons of revenue and build like a super large business. You can take like a crore salary or something per year by simply just building a good bootstrap business. So there's this right now, India is sort of an outsourcing hub, right? The software engineer costs in the US are increasing like anything. It costs like $15,000 a month to hire a software engineer in Silicon Valley, while in India, software engineers are super cheap. So the outsourcing business in India is at the boom. So if you're like a freelancer, or if you're a freelancing agency who can take in a lot of international projects, then you can become rich if that's what you want to do in life, right? So if your sole purpose is to make money, start some outsourcing business or things like that, and then don't even raise investment, just run a nice proper dhanda. That's one thing. But secondly, if you think you have some idea which needs validation, for which you're not sure if you can build a large business, but you need some resources for it, then you can sort of opt for external investment. And always remember, external investment comes with a lot of cap, because once you raise money, you're expected to raise more money, and it just keeps going. So make sure you're ready for that wild ride of raising money and growing your product. If your product doesn't grow, you won't raise money and your business might become dead. So it's a pretty wild ride. Make sure you're playing it safe.